wanted to take this time to talk to you guys about my journey, kind of where I began, where I what I went through, and how I've gotten to where I am now. So it all really started in the fifth grade. That's when I started playing ball back in Pop Warner, watching my brother play. He was in high school at the time, eighth grade in high school, and I was a D tackle. I was a D tackle. I was a nose guard in my first position, and I just remember being so lost out there, so lost out there. I hated the game. I really did. I played 6 plays a game, and I was terrible. I was terrible. I hated tackling. I was not the aggressive type, and I just did not like football at all. I didn't grow into it. I was a baseball kid actually growing up, and that's the sport that I was better at. But then I started to progress. I started to get older. I started to get bigger. Um, and by my freshman year, basically, I was at this point in my life where I was trying to figure out what my thing was going to be, what my sport was going to be. I was watching my brother when I was in the eighth grade, and he was a senior in high school, getting offered a couple places, and then ending up going to Wyoming on a full scholarship. And so I think that's when it started an idea in my head that like, okay, like if I become really good at this thing right here, I could earn a full scholarship and pay for my education. Football actually wasn't even that big of a deal to me at the time. Education was a bigger deal to me. I'm a brains kid. I'm a smart kid, and I wanted to go to a good school for free and pay my way to college. So I think that kind of started that idea. But then I remember my freshman year of high school. Um, I had basically at that point fallen out of love with baseball, wasn't very good at it anymore. And I tried out for the team and did pretty good, but still wasn't even fully sure if this was something that I wanted to do. And then I tried out for the golf team as well my freshman year and got cut by one stroke. I tried out and didn't make the team by one stroke. And it was that decision, it was that thing that happened in my life that made me go all out on football. Once I didn't make the golf team by one stroke, I was like, I have no other option to go to school and to make this dream a reality of going paying my way to college because I didn't know how I was going to get to college. That I just said, this is my ticket. This is my ticket. So I started maturing a little bit, but then I started going hard every single day. I was working out twice a day, throwing all the time, doing whatever I could because I was going to earn a scholarship and no one was going to hold me back. I knew I could do it if I put my mind to it. I had that belief inside myself. My family raised me to believe that the entire way. And so I did that. I did that every single day from that point on, my freshman year. And I was about 150, 155 pounds my freshman year. I got up to 185, I think, my sophomore year. And then I got up to 215 my junior year. But by the time of my sophomore year, in a year and a half split, I had like, honestly, I was gracious to have my brother who had been playing in college football. So his name was kind of circling around. And then at that time, my sophomore year, I'm training in the off season, and Austin's over now at Vanderbilt after he transferred. And I come out there and I throw at a camp, and James Franklin liked what he saw. He saw a potential in me. He saw what I could do before even having played on varsity, and he offered me a scholarship. And at that point, Vanderbilt is a great school, and so I committed. And so I was gracious to have that already come before I had really, truly, honestly even earned it. But that's when it started. That's when I saw that if I put work into this thing, if I go after this thing, I can really make something happen. I can accomplish some great things. And so after that point, after earning the scholarship, I was like, okay, I can go D1, but now I want to push this thing even further. Maybe I can make it to the league. Maybe I can set my family up. Maybe I can set myself up for the rest of my life financially. And so it still wasn't even that much of a burning passion of, football being my favorite thing growing up ever since I was little. This was more of my vehicle, my way of, I enjoyed the game, don't get me wrong. When I got really good, I enjoyed the game. But mine was always this thing about pushing myself to see what I could do to get better, and not so much about the game, but just about within myself, what I could do to help myself out in life, give myself more opportunities. And so at that point, I continued on in high school, continued to get better because now my sights were set on the NFL. I had accomplished that earlier dream of going to school for free, but now my sights were on the NFL, that next part of the journey. And so I was a part of the Elite 11. I'm a four-star quarterback. Started getting offered by a bunch of other places as well, but I stayed committed to Vanderbilt because at that time it was all I wanted to do. I just wanted to go to a good school, and I love the coach over there, James Franklin. And it wasn't until a month before my signing day that he decided to leave to Penn State. And so right at that time, I had to pivot. I had to figure out where my next situation was going to be because I just didn't know what that situation was going to look like over at Vanderbilt. It was still a great school, but I just didn't know. So then Boise State and Washington were the only two schools without quarterbacks. And Chris Peterson had just moved to Washington, and he has me out. I go take a visit to Washington and Boise State. Loved both visits, and I end up committing to the University of Washington. And like I said, at that point, I'm a four-star. I was part of the Elite 11, finished in the Elite 11 at number 11 up in Beaverton, Oregon. It was an incredible event. Right behind Deshaun Watson, I was number 11. He was number 10. And yeah, it was an amazing journey to push myself every single day and see how much better I could get. But then that playing field leveled up once you get to college. In high school, it was much easier to just be physically more dominant. I was 225 pounds. I was running over everyone. I was a big kid. I could throw it 75 yards. It's easy to have success when you're like that. But then as the game gets better, all the details start to show up. So then when I got to the University of Washington, I'm applying the same concept of just working hard, just doing what I can in the weight room, all this stuff. I was 235 my freshman year of college. I mean, I'm big, like I can, again, throw it super far, and I can read defenses too. I'm smart, but my problem was throwing the ball. I was good. Don't get me wrong. Again, I was good. But when you get to college, you have to be, and when you level up even further, you have to be so dialed and so mentally in belief of yourself that you can't doubt yourself at all, or else how are you going to run in a stadium of 70,000, 80,000 screaming fans if you don't believe in yourself and you're about to lead a team in that environment? And so because of that, I'm practicing every day my freshman year and competing with Jake Browning in a real close competition. I mean, we're going neck and neck every single day. But in the back of my mind, I'm doubting myself. Because every time the ball's coming off my hand, it's not feeling right. Something's feeling off, and I can't shake it. There's like, I'm trying to tell myself, no, you're doing good. I'm playing good too. I'm playing good. Like, I'm telling you, I'll show you. I'm going throw for throw. But I just knew something was off. And because of that, it scared me. It scared me because I couldn't imagine running out of that tunnel at the University of Washington in front of 80,000 fans, knowing that I don't fully believe in myself, knowing that I don't know if I'm going to hit this dude on this dig route when he comes open right here. And because I couldn't get over that thought right there, I didn't want to play. Because I just felt like I wasn't set up for success. If I don't believe in myself, how am I going to have the rest of my guys in this locker room believe in me? And that destroyed me. And because of that, I gave up. Because, again, my dream was the NFL. My dream was the professional. If I can't do it in college, how am I going to do it in the league? And so I just rationalized that to myself and realized this dream of mine to go to the league, to like, I was trying to be the Heisman. I was trying to go for Heisman. If I can't believe in there's no shot. There's no shot I'm getting that. There's no shot I'm going to, no way. So I basically sabotaged it. I sabotaged during my QB battle. I literally remember, like, the second to last fall camp practice before season, I literally threw a pick in practice, and I remember being secretly happy about it. Because I was like, I hope this gives the nod to Jake. I hope like this is what does it. And then I remember, like, literally when they called me in the office on the last practice, after the last practice, and they were telling us like who they're going to go with as the starter, and they told me it was Jake, and I was so relieved. And which is so sad. It's so sad, but that's also just a testament to where I was at mentally, that like I was so scared. I was so fearful of the idea of playing that being the backup was exactly what I wanted. It's exactly what I wanted. I did not want to play. Everyone around the locker room, they're all like, dude, like you should be the guy. I'm like, again, that's how good I was still playing. For real. That's how good I was still playing, even though I didn't believe in myself. But I knew what the truth was. I knew I wasn't playing to the ability that I needed to play. And so it was frustrating though. It was frustrating though, because don't get me wrong, I don't want to take anything away from myself. I was going hard. When I was shooting for this thing, when I was getting after this thing, when I had this goal, no one was going after it like I was. I was watching film all night. I was working out all day. I was doing everything I could. Everything I could. There wasn't anything I could have done differently, except got taught differently how to throw the ball. I was taught from a very young age that I had to throw the ball over the top. Now, don't get me wrong, but all these coaches that I got introduced to that taught me this way were part of the Elite 11. We're the biggest trainers in the world, the so-called best quarterback trainers. So who am I to doubt what they have to say if they've trained the best of the best? But I never questioned it. I never questioned it because I respected them. I respected what they had done. I respected their pedigree. And so because of that, I never questioned that thought until it was the end of my career. But I want to even backtrack a little bit more. Like, because I couldn't figure this thing out, I'm such a thinker, I'm such a doer, I'm such a go after it, work hard, that because of how much time I was putting into this thing, going hard day in, day out, and not feeling anything alleviated, that fear being alleviated after I'm putting all these hours in every day, not. Everyone says it. Hard, like you work hard, you'll get it. You work hard, you'll get it. I was working hard. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. How do you think that felt? It felt horrible. It felt horrible. And because of that, I was depressed. I was depressed at the University of Washington. Like, again, I had this goal, I had this dream that I was going after. And I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't find it within myself to believe in myself and make this dream a reality. And I wasn't okay with that. I wasn't okay with that. It was a dark time of my life where after that, I just started focusing on other things, trying to figure out sociology, philosophy, other things, what I'm interested in, And I was lost. I was lost. And it wasn't until the end of my career there that it was when I was sitting on the couch watching my junior year at the University of Washington. I'm watching Deshaun Watson in the national championship, and I'm sitting on my couch, and he's up for Heisman, and he's in the national championship against Alabama, and he's balling. And I'm like, I was throwing throw for throw with this dude in high school, and he's up for Heisman, and I'm sitting here having played one college game. Like, what's the difference? Like, and it dawned on me at that time, like, I'd be really mad at myself if I didn't give this one more shot. If I didn't try and go back at this with a different attitude and a different outlook and try and figure this out, I'll be really pissed at myself. So I remember I called my OC that next day and said, hey, OC, like, because at that point I basically was just going through the motions. For the next 3 years after I basically mentally checked out, I was going through the motions. I wasn't even really there. And I called my OC and I'm like, hey, I'm coming back at this thing. I got a new mentality. I'm really coming back at this thing. And I went into my quarterback room that next day, and I pulled up the tape of Rodgers, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, all these dudes in the league, and I put my tape right next to it. And I had this new outlook where I had nothing to lose anymore. I had nothing to lose. So I told myself I'd throw out everything that I had been taught up until that point about how this game is supposed to be played and about how you're supposed to throw the ball, because that's what was off. It wasn't my workouts that were off. It wasn't all this other stuff that was off. I was dialed, but I didn't feel it off my hand that it was going to go exactly where I wanted. So I was like, I'm going to go watch this for myself. And when I put on the tape and watched Rodgers, Brady, all these guys, and then I put my tape right next to it, I realized everything that I have been taught how to do this position, how to play this position, how to throw the ball, was completely wrong. It was completely wrong. I slowed down their motion, I paused it, and I'd slow down my motion and pause it. And every time at release, they were throwing over here, just like this, whereas I was throwing over my head. And I stared at this and I was like, what am I watching right now? What am I watching? And when I started to think about it, I was shocked because I had never watched it for myself. I had just trusted what I had been told up until that point. And so then every day at practice, now this is my junior year actually, and Jake had just hurt his shoulder. So now I'm getting all the ones reps. I'm the backup up until that point for the last 3 years. I start getting all the ones reps. And now I start applying what I'm watching of these guys to myself in practice, teaching myself just based on what I'm watching. And I start making these changes. Every day that ball started coming off my hand, it started going every where I wanted it to every single time. And it changed my life. It changed my life. I had figured out now the thing that was missing. All my nutrition, all my sleep, all my workouts, I could read coverages. I was smart. I knew the playbook. I could talk to my teammates. I was a leader. This thing with throwing the ball, I had now just unlocked. And every day that I started going to work on this thing and making all these changes, that ball started going exactly where I wanted it to. And I had figured it out. That was the piece that I had missing. So I decided, I was like, I need to transfer. I need to get out of here. Because now I started to believe in myself. Now I knew what I could do. Now I had the missing piece. And at that point, I was balling too in spring ball. And everyone's like, dude, like, you should be the guy. And Jake was a great player and was like a 4-year starter and stuff. So it would have been way too hard to dethrone a guy that has that much of a career and everything. So at that point, I had to transfer. I had to transfer and do a grad transfer year and ended up going to Colorado State. And in my first year there, in my first start, I break the single game passing record throwing for 550 yards against the University of Hawaii. And that wasn't a surprise zone. It wasn't even about that stat. That is what mattered. What mattered was that feeling of running out of the tunnel, being so scared, that idea of running out of the tunnel, being so scared because I didn't believe in myself. I was running into this tunnel and every tunnel after that, after I had this thing, and I knew I was that dude. I knew I was that dude, and I knew there was no one better than me on that field or with a ball in their hand. I knew it, and no one could take that from me. No one could take that from me. That wasn't here. That was in here. That was in here. That was everywhere. And that was something that I was so happy about. I was so happy about and changed my life because I felt the exact opposite when I first got to UW and when I was going hard and I couldn't. And then when I figured this thing out, now I felt completely flip flop on the other side. And so it's my passion. And then, yeah, to take that even further, I kept balling out the rest of the season. And then I get an opportunity to go to the CFL up in Canada, play professional. This is during COVID. So COVID happens, season gets canceled, my contract gets voided, new staff comes in, they don't re-sign me. Then I'm sitting around the house. A team from Germany reaches out to me, and I'm like, I just want to play. I just want to play ball. So I go out there. I win the German championship. I'm the MVP of the league, and I'm balling, and I'm playing better than I ever had in my entire life. And if only I could have had this earlier in my career to put it more on tape, I believe and know that I would be sitting in the NFL right now, sitting in the league, playing in the league. But that is where my passion and my heart is with this, is that that's exactly what I want for y'all. I don't want y'all to have to reach the end of your career to step into what you could have done. Because I believe that if I could have stepped into what I could have done earlier in my career, I would be sitting in the league. Now, I could have gotten hurt. I could have had an injury. There could have been so many other things. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I know for sure, but that's what I believe. Because the way that I can play the game right now, what I can do with the rock. I had everything else in line. I was smart. I could know where to go with the ball, defense. Like when I got this last piece, that confidence, that belief, that conviction within here was untouchable. It was untouchable. And so that's why I feel comfortable saying that even right now. But that's where my passion comes from for y'all, is to help you guys not have to reach the end of your career before you can have that same feeling within. You can feel that now. You can be 12 years old, you can be 13 years old, you can be 14, it doesn't matter. And you can feel that way now. And what a powerful feeling that is. And so that's the story of my career, is this journey of working hard constantly, going, getting after it. Once I had this dream, once I had this goal, my freshman year after getting cut from the golf team, going, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm gonna do with my life. Because I know if I want to put my mind to it, I can make it happen. I put my mind to it. I put the work in. One little thing was off. One little thing was off. If I had taught myself earlier, if I no idea. And so that's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing now, is taking all that learning, all that journey, the struggle of everything, and now using that to help you go through yours and figure out what it is, the thing that might be holding you back. Maybe it's your shoulder. Maybe it's some external rotation incapability. Maybe it's a mental barrier inside your mind that isn't even related to mechanics, isn't even related to throwing. Some with your family, with your, like, some just whatever. The layers are endless. But without this, and without really diving deep into what it is and focusing on what it is that your problem is, you might end up like me, which I'm happy as hell with what I do. But I do wish, and I still have dreams, that I have figured this out before my career was over at UW, when I first was a freshman. And that pisses me off. It pisses me off. And so that's why I'm excited about trying to help y'all. Because that's the story of my career. Just this journey, this adventure. And who knows where I would be had I felt that way earlier in my career. But I love what I do. I love what I do. And that's the pain and that's the struggle of my journey that I get to use to help you guys hopefully not have to go through that same pain, not have to go through that same struggle. But you're going to have your own journey as well. You're going to have your own adventure as well. But we're going to get this thing right, and we're going to help you be the very best that you can be, because we don't even think that it has to be done our way. We're open to new ways of doing things. So we're constantly evolving ourselves. We're constantly changing. So I'm happy to share my story, my career, because it's so monumental to this entire process, to this entire thing. And I just can't wait to help you. I can't wait to help you.